Press the power!
I'm going to make you wish you never left the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah!